Good morning. I have to come up with another interpretation about Adam and Eve in paradise. It's it has formed through inspiration from one YouTube comment that I got, and as well as another YouTube creator that I have also shared in my community section one video of him. Um, this interpretation of the story that we all know, Adam and Eve living in the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, there is the book, not the book, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they're not allowed to eat from it. God tells them so. God is a fatherly figure. It's the parents of Adam and Eve, so to speak. And all right, in this new interpretation, the fruit and thus the knowledge about good and evil are going again into a sexual direction, and it's a combination. The tree and the fruit are the physical representation within paradise, which is, by the way, an inherent splinter in every paradise. Whatever paradise is created in the world, and remember to create something with patience, devotion, sacrifice, love, compassion is much more difficult than to destroy something. So every paradise has a built-in splinter and trigger that can destroy it. And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is this red button. When you push it, paradise is gone. And the other representation of the same thing, I said the tree is the physical representation, is the knowledge of God. God knows this already, but he does not tell it to Adam and Eve. Why does he not tell it? He knows that first, when you parent someone, you wait for your children to be ready to receive the message first. So you never know when is the time to tell them. When are they matured enough, individuated enough to receive the message? And second, he knows some experiences have to be made firsthand, otherwise you won't believe them. So sometimes telling someone that something is bad or forbidden just creates more curiosity about it, and God knows that. So he don't tell them, because he knows if I tell them that, they won't believe anyway and try it. So what is that forbidden knowledge? The knowledge is that sexuality is this knowledge is actually the nature about sexuality, and a fruit is a representation of sexuality, just like a blossom is, because only plants that have, that are male and female, they use sexual multiplication because it has an advantage, because it mixes up the genetics. Okay, getting my coffee. Yeah, so it mixes up the genetics, and This is such a huge advantage that nature is willing to invest a lot of energy to promote this process. And by the way, death is also very important in life. If we have no death, and the healthy competition of nature, this is the root of all the beauty of nature. Okay, so in the same way, a lot of life is sacrificed to sexual reproduction, um, and a lot of energy. So a blossom is the sexual organ of a plant, and in the place where the blossom is, the fruit will be when it got fertilized. And there is a lot of energy invested to create the blossom. It has no other purpose than sexual reproduction. And it does not only look beautiful, have colors to attract bees or flies, it also has a sweet bait to it, so to speak, like honey. That's what the bees need to make honey. And so the bees are rewarded. And sexuality is a lot about reward because without a reward, we would not engage in sexual behavior or drive. Um, and when the blossom is fertilized, it's not over because the seed of the fruit of the plant also has to be planted in the right place. And this is why the fruit is invented. The fruit stores a lot of energy that the tree or the plant is collecting over time in the Garden of Eden. And when Adam or Eve eats the fruit, they also will find the seed in the fruit, and then they can plant the seed somewhere else. And this is why fruits are tasty and sweet and eatable, because they want to be carried away to find a good place for the new tree to grow. And this is the nature of sexuality. And in mammals, in human beings, sexuality is, of course, a little bit different, but it also comes with a lot of energy. Um, we invest a lot of energy um, in this pursuit, and we lose a lot of energy, so to speak, in the sexual act. Um, so if God would teach Adam and Eve this forbidden knowledge, he would say sexuality is both very sacred for life because it's the only way um, to recreate life, to reproduce life. So as Kanye West has said, he said, "None of us would be here without calm." Um, so that's just undeniable fact that sexuality is very important for life. Um, but at the same time, it brings forth the worst and the most dark sides of humanity as well, because it creates competition. It can also create unhealthy competition, like when narcissists or psychopaths try to eradicate all competition. It can trigger envy, jealousy, and narcissistic envy, um, which means and it can also lead to addictions, so sexual addiction, and also when you experienced a somatic narcissist, a person that is sexually addicted and has narcissistic and sociopathic traits, you also will have experienced coercive control because of sexuality. That means that when you create healthy boundaries and rule your own sexual energy, a person that feels that you're just an object that is there to satisfy their needs will apply coercive control to you because they believe that your sexuality is their property. And this shows the dark sides of sexuality. It can lead to addictions, and the addictions of other people can also influence more people in a negative way because of, yeah, I don't have to clarify more. I think you understand this, right? So the desire of one person can extend to other persons who not feel the same way about this. So it can be, in other words, it can be the most beautiful or a very beautiful thing, something that is absolutely sacred, but it can be very twisted and be very dark and enslave people. So if God would have told that to his children, Adam and Eve, they would be a little bit confused, shocked, but they won't believe it, and they would have tried themselves, and it's what God knows. And I think this is a very good interpretation of this too, because as long as we don't think about this, as long as we are in a naive state, it doesn't matter um, whether we have sex or not, in what, it's all naive and unreflected, and we are in a naive state that could not be better actually, because we believe everything is good. Everything is good. And we live in that way. But once we know different, we can't get away from that. And this also extends, by the way, to practices like semen retention or celibacy, because suddenly there is this knowledge. Suddenly we reflect, we have a second guess, we encounter a nature in ourselves, and we have an alienated second nature in ourselves that tries to tame, control this other nature that we have. So this is the moment you go away from paradise and or from this more naive state. And there's people who claim that it's possible to return in a state like that. Um, but that would be another. But I think this is a very individual way, and I believe there it apply the same basics apply. It does not make sense to have any teaching about this because people will be confused, not understand, and want to try it themselves. And I think this is the way. So, yeah, so by the way, how I perceived education about this topic or about Christianity was in a way that, I thought, okay, Christianity teaches the body is bad, sin is bad, sexuality is bad. And I knew this can't be right. This is not right. So there's something wrong about this. Um yeah, and I think that what I just told you is a little bit more complete teaching or understanding. I'm not teaching anybody. Um, I'm teaching myself here, but um, yeah, I believe the truth is it is something that we can't deny. It's something that can be absolutely sacred, divine. and really a higher something above us, because we do something that we can't understand. We create life, but it also can lead to very, very dark constellations and experiences. Okay? Yeah, and especially when you encounter people who are really submitted to this force. When you want to take back your powers, they will humiliate you. And um, for some reason, there is a lot of collective trauma in humanity that is being put on other people as well through this through this coercive control, through the manipulation, through the strength of the desires, and the attempt to externally regulate the desires.